generally speaking, like in life, right? The person that makes the first impression and the person that makes the last impression is the person you remember. On defense, let's work a little bit on our traditional jab. Come out and face me, okay? Face over here, right? Key elements to the jab, right? You're going to hear me say this over and over and over again. I'm going to give you some visualization, some cues that you can use that'll help you visualize proper technique. First thing is we want to make sure that when we throw the jab, our elbows are pointed towards the ground. We don't want to do this, as we talked about, right? When we do this, not only are we giving them opportunities, right? When you throw that jab, and you bring your elbow out simultaneously, right? Your opponent sees this movement. He sees this movement far better than he sees this movement. And so when you begin your jab and your elbow flares out like that, he's going to be responsive to that. He's going to see it, and his defense is going to go up immediately, right? Whereas if you just take your jab, your palm, and you turn it down with your elbow tight like that, right? There's not much for him to read. There's no preamble. There's nothing for him to see in advance. It's there, and then it's in your face. If you throw that jab and you come out like that as you're extending your arm, he's going to see this and respond to it, right? And you're going to give him ample time to get his defense in place. Elbow to the ground. Next thing, I want you to imagine that there's a pipe right here. There's a pipe right here, and you're just going to simply punch your hand through the pipe. You're going to take your elbow, turn it down, turn your palm down, and punch your hand right through the pipe with your chin down like that. Chin profile, when you throw a jab, below, right? We don't want it up like this. We want your chin profile down like that, hug nice and tight, okay? Throwing that jab with his elbow down through the imaginary pipe. No wasted space, chin down, right? A little bit of roll in his hip. How do you know you've thrown a punch correctly? When you're on balance and ready to throw the next punch correctly. If you throw a punch and you've shifted your weight too far, right? You're off balance, you're dragging, right? Hand goes straight out and straight back, okay? We talked about your weight distribution. You start off with your weight evenly distributed on the balls of your feet with your heels just slightly touching the ground in a proper stance. There's a step to every jab. You can step in place. You can have a short step. You can have a long step, or you can have an advanced step where you bring both steps. Short steps, just up and down. Slight weight transfer. 60-40, right? It's 50-50. 60 to the back foot, then 60 to the front. So it's like this. Boom. Understand? Then you're going to take a short step. Weight's 50-50. As you step, you're going to put 60 on the front foot. And as you step back, it'll go 50-50. Same thing on the long step. Step with me. 60 on there. 50-50 when you get back, right? And the same thing with the advanced step. We'll move both feet. You ready? Go. Okay? And we end up right where we started. Okay? There is a little weight transfer. Make sure your hips, but most importantly for this drill, we're talking about the minimum movement and super efficiency of his upper body. Elbow to the ground, hand punching through the imaginary pipe with his elbow, just turning his palm down and keeping his chin profile just like that. Okay? Go back. Right. I'll say this in every drill. Technique precedes power. Technique precedes power. That means when you first do this, you may feel like your punch doesn't have any power behind it. Okay? That's because you haven't properly synced up your technique. You haven't done it enough to where you can generate the power that the technique provides. So when you don't feel that way, what's going to happen is you're going to try and amp it up. And you're going to amp it up by rotating your fist. You're going to create all these abnormal movements that make you feel like you're getting power. But what does that do? That gives him, the opponent, time to respond. And then you're just easy to pick off. You know what punches are good punches? Punches that land. Those are good punches. Okay? Pretty punches that don't land ain't worth a shit. right? So if you start amping your shots up and you can't land a punch because the other guy can just see all your punches coming, right? No good. You don't have to be the fastest guy in the world. You don't have to have the most reflexes and the best reflexes in the world. You can out-efficiency and out-time people, right? You can out-efficiency and out-time people. That's what this is about. Elbow to the ground, proper step weight transfer, turning our palm down, punch through the pipe, and then bring your hand back, and you complete a perfect jab. Let's try it. Extend your arm, extend your hands. Don't short your punches. Don't shorten your punches. There you go. Bring it right back to your face. Bring it right back. There you go. Good. Generally speaking, like in life, right? The person that makes the first impression and the person that makes the last impression is the person you remember, right? So whoever makes the first impression in the round, the dominant impression in the round, and the person that makes the final impression in the round has the edge going into scoring, right? Don't short your jab, right? Don't start getting used to throwing a short jab because then you'll never know what range you fight at, right? Figure out your range by knowing the length of your jab. Where is the end of your jab? Okay, know it, because if you start throwing short punches and you get used to throwing short punches, you're letting the guy get 6 or 8 inches closer to you. It may not be necessary, right? And I'm fighting Randall. Randall's clearly longer than me, right? And if I'm used to shorten my jab, right, I'm gonna let him hurt me right? I'm gonna let him bang me up, right? Don't shorten your jab by trying to be fast, right? Extend your jab and bring it back. Trust in your technique. Extend it and bring it back. Find out what range you can fight at. Maybe this is going to be your range in here. That's okay, right? Maybe all your punches are going to be short, but at least know the range of your jab. Make sure you're bringing your hand back high so you're not creating opportunities, and you're not always shorting your punches because let me tell you, technique-wise, okay, it's easy to shorten things during a fight. Throw a short hook, short, tight uppercut. It's very hard. It's very, very, very hard to be used to be throwing long things and then throwing something short. It's very hard. Know the range that you fight at. You understand? Know the range you fight at. Put your hand out and bring your hand back. All right, let's go. Nice, simple, efficient movements. Minimum movement's best. Minimum movement's best. Tuck that chin in. Tuck that chin in. Trust your athleticism. Be free. Be free. Good. Good head movement. Move your head now. Try and put it all together. Little head movement. Use your feet. Nice, efficient jab. What is king in boxing? Repetition. Repetition is king in fighting. You understand? You have to do it over and over and over until it becomes second nature, becomes your habit. Weight distribution. This is an art, right? You have to craft it. You have to craft yourself. You have to turn yourself into a good fighter, right? You have to do that over and over and over through repetition. Bam, bam, bam. You have to get in the mirror. You have to be conscious of your own body, right? It's not that I show you and then all of a sudden you're that guy. Put yourself in a situation, be resourceful, and practice it, okay? There's no magic tips, right? There's no, do this, right? It comes through everything else, comes through practice. But put yourself in a mindful situation where you can kind of play act and put yourself in that role and try and move around for 3 minutes. And could you avoid a guy for 3 minutes that's coming at you, right? Who's throwing punches and all you have are your feet and your head movement. That's the only resource that's available to you. If you want to increase your ability in certain areas, take away the resources from another area, right? If you want to really develop an efficient jab, right, in sparring, then take away your take away your hook. Practice that jab all day long. You'll figure out ways to get that thing in there, right? Minimize your other resources. Just use your hand and your head and your feet, and you'll learn to be creative. It'll start coming to you. And put yourself in a situation that's meaningful to you, right? So you can attach some meaning to the outcome. Shadow box 3 minutes every day. Like your hands are broken and you got to figure out how to use your head and your feet to survive just long enough to win the fight. The best way to become a better fighter is to fight, right? Sparring is the best way to improve your ability to fight in a fight, right? Sparring is also the most dangerous, the most taxing, right? And so shadowboxing is a way to be perfect without any consequence, to be in it without having the consequence of it, right? But if you want to get really good, you have to spar, and you have to spar on a regular basis, and you have to spar the techniques, and you have to spar people that are better than you, right? And you have to continually develop and improve in real time, in real life situations, right? But you have to do that with the idea that you also have to be careful about what's good for you.